So Avery Smith is our expert of the day. Of the month, really. We're spotlighting him, and he's going to talk to us about NFT, data analytics, Web3. I don't know if it's Web3 or Web 3.0, but he'll clarify all those concepts for us when he starts presenting. But what you can expect is about 30 to 35 minutes of content from Avery, and then we will take questions. We could take questions throughout the session or hold them to the end, whatever you're comfortable with. And then what a lot of people are also excited about for these spotlight sessions is the 15-minute networking session, where we're going to go into little breakout rooms and really get to know each other. Even if it's for a couple of minutes, I think it's still better than just messaging each other on LinkedIn. You get to be face-to-face for a few minutes, and we have a topic of discussion, which I will unveil as we get closer to the networking. Nothing you would have to have prepared for. So it's something that you can easily talk about, and I'll just let in more people. All right, so Avery Smith, why don't we get started? And I'm gonna spotlight you. I think a good place to start is just letting people know a little bit about yourself. Also, feel free to talk about the course you created, which is on the DATAcated circle, and all the good stuff that you're doing with Data Career Jumpstart.
Sweet. Sounds good. Yeah. So hi, everyone. My name's Avery Smith. And if this is your first DATAcated spotlight, you're in luck because you came to literally the best one possible, at least in my definition. I might be a little bit biased, but I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be with Kate. Kate's a good friend, awesome person, as you guys know. And I'll explain a little bit about who I am and what I do. So I'm going to just use a quick little screen share. Is that okay, Kate?
Absolutely, go for it.
Okay, there we go. Now I'm there. All right. So this is me right here. I live in Utah. I live in like the mountains in Utah, and I absolutely love it. You guys can see my screen, right? Okay, sweet. I live in Utah. This is like one of my favorite places on earth. This is right next to my ski resort. I like to hike up here. I love to hike. I love to be outside. I love to spend time with my wife. I love to spend time with my dogs, or my dog. My wife wants it dogs, but I'm just dog. A little bit about me. I currently run an analytics firm called Snow Data Science, where I just help companies with different analytics projects, from dashboards to machine learning to like data storage, stuff like that. I also previously worked as a data scientist for Exxonmobil. So this is me down in Houston, Texas, where we lived for 2 years at the Exxonmobil headquarters. So pretty crazy building right here. They call this the cube, and it like is supposed to look like it's floating. It's sitting on those two other buildings, but it jets out quite a bit, and it's all glass. So a fun building down there in Houston. And previously, before that, I was a data scientist for a company called Vaporsense, which is basically a chemical detection company that makes sensors that sniffs chemicals out of the air. So like it has really big applications to smell bombs, to smell drugs. So pretty cool technology. And while I was there, I had like access to a bunch of drugs and a bunch of bombs. So that was pretty fun too. I like telling people that because people are like, oh, that's pretty insane. But yeah, like we had like meth, we had like weed, we had TNT, like we had all these different things. It's a crazy experience.
Lucky you, Avery. Awesome.
I know. It was just for lab purposes though, nothing else. Don't worry. And now I run a program called Data Career Jumpstart, which is basically trying to help people break into data careers. I know Christine's a member there. Basically, the whole purpose is like to give some extra help. So we have a bunch of videos. We have over 150 videos, as well as private job leads, hackathons. We have a hackathon upcoming. So that's kind of what I've been doing in 6 months, 8 months or something like that. And as part of that, there is a course that you guys can take. Since you guys are all DATAcated members, there is one, let me think, what's it called? It's from data to dashboard, and there's the R shiny one, and then there's data to dashboard dash, which is in Python. Yep. And you guys have access to those, which are pretty fun.
Yep. If anyone has trouble finding where those courses are, just let me know. You can message me here or on Circle or on LinkedIn or in my email, and I'll help you find them.
Yeah. And if you get stuck with those, you can reach out to me as well. I'm happy to help with those. Those are pretty fun courses. So that's pretty much me. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, or I'll just ask, anyone have any questions about who I am, or did I miss anything, Kate?
What's your dog's name?
Oh, Peach. And she is the, my wife gets mad when I say this, but she's the love of my life. I love hanging out with her. Literally right before this, we just went for a walk and had a good time. So
awesome. I love it. I'm excited. I'm excited for you to get into your NFT analytics talk. I personally can't wait to learn more about this. I started breaking into the world, but all I know is NFT stands for non-fungible tokens, and my knowledge is very limited. And again, reminder to the participants here, you can ask questions and we'll interrupt Avery as we go if you have questions as he speaks.
for sure. Yeah. Just if you guys have a question, you can literally unmute yourself, interrupt me. I have the chat open as well. I'll try to be monitoring that. I'm also going to make sure that I set a timer for 30 minutes or something like that, so that I don't take up the whole time, because I'm so fascinated by this, guys. I think this is like so interesting. I've fallen in love with NFTs over the last 6 months, basically. And it's a really fun place to be. But there's a lot going on, really easy to get scammed. There's a lot of scams. So I don't want to spoil anything too much, but we'll go ahead and get into NFT analytics. So basically in this session, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what an NFT is, a little bit about Web3, a little bit about crypto and blockchain, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the analytics side. So we're going to start with the foundation. But first, I want this to be a little bit interactive. So once again, you can either just type in the chat or you can unmute yourself if you can. When I say the word cryptocurrency, what's like the first thing that comes to your guys' mind? Tell me, what's the first word?
Dogecoin.
All right, Dogecoin from Christine. We got Bitcoin from Kate, and then a lot of blockchain from everyone else. All right, you guys are blockchain people. All right, so we got blockchain, Bitcoin, Dogecoin. All right, cool. Okay, what's the first thing that comes in your head if I say NFT? What do you guys think? Blockchain. Okay, art from Jacqueline. Digital art. Okay, from SP. Games from Rodney. CryptoPunk monkeys. All right, nice. And Dolly music. All right, so it seems like you guys have at least heard of NFTs a little bit, huh? What would you guys say like your level of NFT understanding is right now? Do you guys have just heard of it, or like you've bought one before? Christine, what's your experience?
I think I have one for proof of
Okay.
the DATAcated conference, and then I joined a game and they gave me one, but I don't even really know how to access them. So I'm very basic.
Okay, sweet. Basic, have been gifted a few basic. All right, sweet. Great. Well, hopefully by the end of today, it'll be a little bit more. All right. Dave says 3 out of 10. Yeah, I don't even know how you can gauge like anything about it. No clue what to do with them. All right, cool. So let's get into it. So let's talk about Web3 first off, because Web3 is basically the overarching like term that's basically refers to all of this stuff, like the metaverse, NFTs, cryptocurrency. It's all basically being called into Web3. And whether it's Web3 or whether Web 3.0, I don't think it really makes a big difference. I think I can use them interchangeably. But let's just go over, I didn't really even know what Web 1 and Web 2 is. I'm young, so I don't really remember social media. So let's start with Web 1. Web 1 is website only. So the website's only readable. So you're looking at things like a static website, like some restaurants still have them where they're just like, wow, this is like an old website. That would be Web 1 or Web 1.0. Web 2.0 is the website is readable and users can create content. So really this is like social media. Like for instance, LinkedIn, you can read stuff on LinkedIn, but you can also create stuff on LinkedIn. And then Web 3 is basically, it's still readable. You can create on it and you can own/control it. You have the ability to governance on it or something like that. That's like the biggest difference is you own or have like more say in the content. That's basically the biggest difference between Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. And just to illustrate this, I stole this photo right here from NLearn Academy. And oh, for some reason it got cut off a little bit. I don't know how that happened, but the bottom companies are Web 1.0 companies. So like Yahoo. I don't even know if I would say all of these were Web 1.0 companies, but this is like the vibes of Web 1.0. And then here's the vibes in Web 2.0. You see a lot of the social medias, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. And then Web 3.0, it's decentralized, and we'll get into that term here in a second. Web 3 pillars are basically 1 on the blockchain. We'll get into that here in a second. 2 is decentralization. Now that's kind of a funny word. Anyone like have feel for what that word actually means. It's not a word we typically use in a day-to-day basis. If so, throw it in the chat, read a couple. And then third is the token-based economics. So those are the three pillars of Web3: blockchain, decentralization, token-based economics. No central control. Nice. Silos, question mark. Kate, what do you mean by that? Tell me more.
Well, decentralization, right? You have, it's not centralized. So I'm picturing silos, and then each of those have their own pillars in there.
Yeah. So I think the combination of what you and Rodney said is pretty good. I would say that decentralization basically means that there's not, this is the way I describe it, is in, let's just get in cryptocurrency, or just basically with any sort, with cryptocurrency, you'll have something called a wallet, a custodial wallet. And that is basically what allows you to buy and sell crypto and buy and sell NFTs, stuff like that. There is no customer service. That's how I describe it. There's no customer service. If your money gets stolen, it's not like a credit card company where they'll like pay the difference and you're fine. It's like you own it. You're the person in control. No one else is in control. For instance, in terms of, let's look at content. For the last 2 years, I've posted every day on LinkedIn. I don't necessarily own that content. LinkedIn owns it, right? Like they're the people that store it and stuff like that. But hopefully with decentralization, it's more like you own. No one really owns it except for you. And then blockchain, we'll get into here in a second. Token-based economics is basically like, I don't, to be perfectly honest, I don't fully understand this as much, but it's just the idea that like you're basically giving some sort of, whether it's a currency or a token, basically. Bitcoin is just like a token. It's just like that token costs a certain amount. And you're basically giving tokens, and those tokens can be used for different things. We got Ravit here. Welcome. Where do you see NFTs in the next 2 to 3 years? I think the biggest thing with NFTs, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. Actually, going back to what Rodney said, actually is probably one of the biggest theories, is they're going to be used a lot more in video games than they are right now. Because right now, a lot of you guys were like, oh yeah, NFTs, digital art. And that's true. That's one of the biggest things right now is PFPs, profile pictures. PFPs, NFTs are really big right now. They're the biggest. But there's photography NFTs. There's music NFTs. There's video NFTs. There's gaming NFTs, stuff like that. That's probably where I see it, is probably being used heavily in video games. Do any of you guys have kids? Any of you guys have kids that play Fortnite, Minecraft, or what's the other one? Roblox, those three. Or maybe some of you guys play it. I don't know.
They're not into that yet. I don't know if it's an age thing or maybe just because their friends don't. They have a PlayStation 5, recent PlayStation.
Okay, they got the PlayStation, so they don't need no PC gaming or anything like that.
Not yet. But Avery, Rodney had a question there around the tokens. He was just asking who controls and validates the tokens. I guess since it's decentralized, who actually does that validation? Yeah,
it's really no one. It's like basically there's something called a smart contract that's created with the token. A smart contract just basically means there's like a set of rules that govern the tokens, and that smart contract set up, and then everything, all the tokens are perfectly obedient to the smart contract. Basically, that's who controls and validates the tokens. It's the smart contract on the blockchain, and that's the point of the blockchain. Is it's the governor, it's the ruler, basically. So, good question. What if you play those games? That is a good question. That's awesome. I wish I played. I'm more of a Nintendo guy myself, but I just know that Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft, people are paying a lot of money for like skins and additional weapons, and I don't know all this stuff. But let's say your kid grows up, they play Minecraft from age 12 to age 20, and then after that, they're done. They've spent 8 years of their lives working hard to build up awesome stuff, and right now you can't really. It's just done. But in the future, you could be able to maybe sell that to someone else. That's the idea, is you could be able to sell stuff. All right, Dolly says, I've played Fortnite, so I'm familiar with their skins. That's awesome. Okay, was Rodney asking who maintains the ledger? That's a good question. So in terms of the actual blockchain stuff, I'm not like super familiar with. you obviously, a lot of the stuff is on Ethereum, and there's like a whole Ethereum team, and you pay, we'll get to this later, but you pay a ton of fees to keep their systems up and going and running. There's a really young guy, what's his name? I think he's Russian, or maybe not, I don't know. His name's something, I can't remember, but he's like my age.
I know,
like
I've seen videos of him. He's like socially awkward and just
yeah,
like weird videos. I've seen him.
he's given away billions of dollars though. That guy's
Interesting.
uber rich. Anyways, all right, let's get into a little bit of some of the products that Web3 makes. There's DeFi, which is decentralized finance. Okay. That's going to be like banking and like PayPal and Venmo and stuff. Basically where you're banking without a bank is the idea. And that's one of the things right there. 2 is cryptocurrency, which you guys are probably most familiar with, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, stuff like that, where you can buy cryptocurrency. And then 3 is non-fungible tokens, which is NFTs, which is what we're talking about today. Okay, so this is I think, oh, I just want to read this comment. I think that platforms like Amazon Prime are giving NFTs in games to lure people into playing some of these games. Yeah, for sure. 100%. NFTs in games right now are a big deal. There's not that many good ones though, to be honest. The biggest one right now that is like purely NFT based is called Axie Infinity. And they also probably did billions last year, to be honest. Yeah, there we go. Ethereum guy, Vitalik, that's his name. I was going to say Vlad, but that felt too right. And yeah, not. How does Web3 tie up into the metaverse? Okay, the metaverse is basically a marketing term, to be honest, really driven by Meta, especially right now. But basically the idea is just like metaverse equals Web3 plus whatchamacallit, Web3 plus VR and AR and stuff. Okay, blockchain is a distributed database. That's all the blockchain is. People are like, oh, blockchain's so cool. It's just a big database that everyone can write to. It's like the world's largest database. That's how I like to think about it. And that's how it's related to data. All blockchain is just like a ledger, or like, it's just a receipt for literally everything that happens, and you put it in one database. And that's the blockchain. So what is the blockchain? Distributed database. It guarantees fidelity and security. That's like one of the goals of it. In my mind, it does not really do that per se, because, and I'll get to that later. We'll talk about it right now, because basically the only way you can tell on the everything on the blockchain is represented by like 64-digit codes. And so everyone has a unique 64-digit code identifier. And so that's how it's secure, is because only one person can have that code. But like we as humans can't really think in 64-digit codes. Like none of us are taking the time to check every single digit to make sure it lines up. You can copy and paste, but anyways, I don't think it's actually guarantees security and fidelity. But basically data is stored in blocks and chained together, and every transaction is recorded in immutable. That is a fun word right there, immutable. Cannot be changed. That's what it means. That's a fun word to have. Cannot be changed, immutable. Basically, once something's written to the database, it cannot be unwritten. So it's a universal database for anything. That's blockchain. Now enter non-fungible tokens. Fungible means can be replaced. Another fun word to learn. Fungible equals replaced. So these are non-replaceable tokens. And it's basically an NFT is a non-fungible asset on the blockchain. And what a non-fungible thing means is one does not equal one. So for instance, one Bitcoin can be traded for one Bitcoin. But if you're trading one NFT for another NFT, they're not necessarily equal. Like the price of one Bitcoin is always equal to the price of another Bitcoin. But the price of one NFT, even from the same project as another, will not always equal each other. And people think it's funny animal art, but it could be anything or nothing. It could be photography. It doesn't even need to have a picture associated with it. Basically, you're getting a unique like 68-digit code, basically. And that code can be used like on a website to check if you have access to it. All it is codes. You're just getting digits. That's all an NFT is. That's all really Bitcoin is, really, at the end of the day, is just a 64-digit code. That's it. Just numbers. So that's like the bare minimum. And then people can add stuff on top of it. So this is what an example. This is an NFT right here. What do you guys think? How much you guys want to buy this NFT for?
$10 million. I'll give you
how many?
$10 million.
Okay, 10 million. That would be a high price. But what about the rest of you guys? What do you guys think this NFT is worth? I think
Avery, give us more.
You want more? All right. But this is the point, though. This is what you're buying into. So this NFT right here, the first, I don't know how many digits of this, it might not be 64. So the point is it's a lot of digits. Yeah, Kate's gonna count, so she'll let us know. But the first half of this, the first 9/10 of it is to a contract. Okay, that contract is a smart contract. It's basically a project where they have 10,000 NFTs in this case, 10,055. And the last 3 digits there at the end is the token ID that makes it specific to that NFT. And so in this case, this code corresponds with this art. Kate, congratulations. You bought this for $10 million. How do you feel?
Well, but it's not only art, right? So this, a lot of times NFTs actually give you a bit more value, right?
Yes. So let's talk about this. So this one in particular is from a project called VFriends by Gary Vaynerchuk, a successful entrepreneur. One of my favorite people. You either love him or you hate him. There really is no in between. I one of the love him. No, this is not worth 10 million. This was sold for $360,000 a couple months ago. But if you own this NFT, you get to have Gary V on your podcast once a year. And you also get access to a conference for 3 different years. It's a really big conference. They have like Snoop Dogg talk. They have like a bunch of really good people talking there. All right, people like Gary. My family hates Gary. Everyone in my family, my wife, my dad, my mom, my 2 brothers, they all hate Gary, and I love Gary. But anyways, I like Gary. This is a cool project. So basically, you get access by buying this. You get access to Gary. You get access to this conference, but also it puts you into a club. It lets you flex on people. You can make this your profile picture and be like, oh, wow, this person's cool. They're part of this club. And you also get a bond with 10,000 other people. And those 10,000 other people are like, oh, this person's awesome. They also own a VFriend. And so it's like a network. It's almost like a club. So that's why this one went for $360,000. But you take something like Kate mentioned earlier. We'll deviate here for a second. We'll go to OpenC is the #1 secondary sales location for NFTs. So this is where you can buy and sell NFTs. This is the place that I would do if I was you.
Avery, do you know, I have some like NFTs on there, some DATAcated doodles. I don't know if they'll come up in your search, but I've actually created some. With
do you know what your OpenC username is?
You would look for DATAcated is what I would think. I'm wondering if it would come up. No, not data. Oh, there we go. Accounts. Here we go. I don't know if it'll come up. Yep, there they are.
All right, here's some.
Feel free to buy some.
So for instance, I could make an offer to Kate right now for this DATAcated lake duck. What does it come with though, Kate?
Nothing. Oh, actually, I think it comes with some merch. Yeah, when I was creating it, I created this literally just to learn what's an NFT and what's OpenC. So I figured I got up to the point of minting it, and then I realized that you have to pay gas fees in order to actually mint it for sale. So I didn't actually cross that bridge of paying, but it was a good learning experience.
Good. And actually, you don't necessarily have to. That's another interesting thing is most of the NFTs are on the Ethereum, what's it called? Layer 1 network, which you would have to pay gas fees. But there's other, for instance, you could use Solana's network and that has cheaper fees, or you could use a layer 2 solution on OpenC. So this is basically like Polygon. That's what it's called. It's built on Ethereum and they don't have any gas fees. So there's ways to get around it. But basically for stuff like you're doing, like you could do Polygon and it's no problem. But for big projects that like actually want to be like important in the world, like to the community, it has to be on layer 1 to really have any respect.
Right.
For the most part. So like, for instance, we could go look at CryptoPunks. This used to be, actually still might be actually the biggest NFT basically ever. These are some of the earlier ones. These are profile projects, profile pictures. Yeah, PFPs. These sell for quite a bit. These sell for, so for instance, this one sold, wow, I don't even know what that number would be. This sold for, that's not real. That is crazy. 124,000 Ethereum, which would be about $1 million. Because basically Ethereum, no, wait, that's way more than that. Hold on. Let's do ETH to USD. 1,000 ETH is worth 3 million. So wait, how much is this? 124,000? Okay, so just multiply that by 120. So like 300 million? That's crazy. which is really insane. So this basically just gets you into a cool rich people club. So a lot of celebrities own these. I think Odell Beckham Jr. owns this one. I can't really remember. But yeah, this basically gets you in a cool club. But that's about all the value that they have is it's just cool club stuff. They don't offer you anything else. So they don't necessarily need to offer you anything. They could just be like a collector's item. So doesn't Snoop own a lot now? Yeah, Snoop Dogg is a really big NFT collector. I don't know how many of these he particularly owns, but he owns a lot of the big ones, that's for sure. Okay, so that is an example of an NFT with utility. They don't always have utility. Okay, how does Web3 and data tie together? Web3, I just told you, is built on blockchains, just a database. It's also a new industry and a new field, right? This is a new thing. And data applies to every field. So there's that gold rush theory here that, like, for instance, imagine if you're one of the first people to do healthcare analytics. That's the gold rush right here. Also, blockchain data is really impossible to read and understand on your own. It's like a very messy, complex database. So if you can make that easier for people to read, there's a good opportunity there. And it also democratizes markets, which is interesting. Let me go through some use cases of analytics in Web3. There's 3 big ones. I did see that there was chatter in the chat about stolen NFTs and stuff like that. But basically, fraud detection is a big one. Product management is a big one, and market exploration. And I'll just go through these kind of quickly. But pretend that an NFT is an NFT. Just pretend it's a product. It's a top of the line toothbrush, for example. That's what you're selling. And that's, for instance, if you want to start an NFT, think about it like you want to start a toothbrush company. You want to answer questions like, how many have we sold? How much money have we made? Who is our customer? Stuff like that. So just like any sort of product, NFTs are products, and the people who are making those products want to check how they're doing. Fraud detection. There's lots and lots of scams going on in the NFT world. Can we find scammers? Can we figure out how to prevent people from interacting with them? Can we detect what a scam is? Do we have a clear picture of what's going on? That's another way that analytics can help. And then there's market exploration. Who owns what? How much of the market does someone control? How similar are customers? What might be next? Forecast the next big NFT project. Those are just some ways, 3 different ways that analytics could really help in the NFT space. So now after this is where it's choose your own adventure. You guys can ask me any questions you want. We can also look at some NFT analytics I've done. This one is on a platform called Dune Analytics for a particular project called the Flower Girls that I was really interested in for a long time. So we can look at that. Dune Analytics is basically a blockchain analytics company that recently raised $69 million and has over $1 billion valuation. So this is a big player in the space. We could look at a project I did with Ken G on analyzing crypto scams and NFTs in particular with celebrities. Or we could go look at some of my NFTs. And I'll let you guys choose. I think we have about 7 minutes left or something like that.
I didn't know you had NFTs, Avery. That's cool.
These are ones I bought. I didn't make these.
Oh, okay. Okay, so these are the ones you bought. Okay, so I think I'll start with a question, and guys, feel free to chime in. Why did you choose My Bear, for example, that 3rd one with the little flower in its head? How did you make that decision?
So I'm a big believer that you learn by doing. Like you, Kate, like you were like, I made some NFTs just to understand the process. And that bear right here, this purple one, was actually the first one I ever bought. And so it was when I was just getting in the space. It was really cheap. That was the thing. I was like, I just need to buy one to figure out what this process is like. So I bought one and I was just like understanding the space. It was like $30. It was really cheap. And it's worth $0 now, but it's fun art. I have it. I like it. I bought one more and I got gifted an extra. And I thought they were cute. They were actually made by like a 13-year-old girl. And I think the art is actually really good. I think it's very good art, but she had trouble running the project with her brothers. And so it didn't really turn out. And they didn't really know what they were doing, but it was really excellent for me to learn. And I don't regret it at all. So I probably spent, I don't know, $60 to $100 on that project, and they're worth nothing now. But I learned a whole heck of a lot, and it was really fun. So I don't regret it.
Okay, and then what would stop me from, let's say, taking a screenshot of my computer right now, cropping down to that picture, and then saying, I own this now? What's stopping me from doing that?
So really, at the end of the day, is you own that. What does that even mean? Because you don't even have to, you could just right click on the picture, save as, and you have the picture.
Right.
So it's just about the ability to have that long token that we showed you right here.
Mhm.
This token needs to be in your wallet, basically. That's what it is at the end of the day. And you can't fake this code on your wallet. It's impossible. So this is the thing that actually matters. The picture doesn't matter as much, but like, for instance, there are some websites that like you will not be able to access unless you have that NFT that accompanies the website, and you can't fake that.
Yeah, and a lot of times I have people in my circle of friends and family who are also like Gary Vee and don't like Gary Vee. And at some point he was explaining the concept of NFTs. That's where I got started with my knowledge on the topic. And people were asking him the same question, like, why can't I just copy paste this? And it goes back to similar things like he pointed out to someone in the audience, like, why are you wearing what you're wearing right now? Why are you wearing your Nike shoes? Why are you wearing your Data Career Jumpstart hat? It goes into how we express ourselves. And this is becoming another form of expression where we have these little badges of things we're proud of, which I guess right now to most people, I would say the vast majority, this probably looks ridiculous. Who's paying $3 million for a little image of a gorilla with like diamonds on it? Who's doing that?
Yeah.
And people are doing that because I guess it goes into this whole self-expression, but I think the applications of NFTs go even broader. I've heard people writing books as NFTs, publishing books as NFTs, selling houses as NFTs, especially if they have a lot of unique factors. Really cool space, I think, to keep our eyes on. So if, people in the audience, you have questions specifically on NFTs, or if not, I also want to get into more of what your suggestions are, Avery, for data individuals who want to create a data project, create a data visualization, or even just play with some NFT data. Where do you think they should go?
Yeah, for sure. I actually have a hackathon coming up with all of this where I'll be like giving really more in-depth instructions. But I think Dune, the biggest issue right now is you can't get the data very accessibly. That's a big problem.
Mhm.
And whoever solves that problem is probably going to make a lot of money. In fact, you can get the data, you just have to pay for it. So like me as an individual, I don't really want to pay for NFT data because it's not a great investment for me necessarily. I'm probably not going to make my money back. So the best place to go right now is Dune Analytics, because they allow you to download, they let you have access to the data for free, and it's really good, high integrity data. You cannot download it though, so you have to stay inside of their platform. So Dune Analytics is like it connects you to the blockchain, but also has a visualization dashboard that's like similar to Tableau.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it looks like. It is ugly, but the data is easily accessible.
We have some questions in the audience. If there's any correlation to Commodore 64 and then the 64 characters that you were talking about.
I shouldn't have said 64 characters. Did you count how many characters it was?
It was like, I think it was like 59, but maybe I was counting really fast because I was trying to listen to you at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think so. I just know that there's a bunch of numbers that, like, in fact, I don't want to show you because I don't want to risk anything. But like basically most of the time you're just copying and paste. It shows you like the first 5 and the last 5, and you just copy and paste it. So I don't even know how many letters it is most of the time.
I'm trying to Google it now, but I'll focus on the session.
Oh yeah, I'll take this next one. Your crypto scams analytics with Ken seems good to explore. I'm really interested in knowing how to detect fraud/scams. Some of the stories out there are crazy. Yeah, it actually is crazy. One of the biggest issues right now is, I'll actually show you this. We'll just pull this up really quickly, is OpenC is like the place to buy and sell NFTs. And you can actually send, so like, for instance, let's go to Gary Vee, since he's a really big player in the NFT space. So let's go to Gary Vee. So this is Gary Vee's OpenC profile, and this is his wallet. So you can see what he's buying, what he owns, stuff like that. But here's the problem. You're going to look at some of this and you're going to be like, oh, look, like, let me show you a good example, actually. Hold on, let's find one. So this is interesting. Let's look at this Oprah NFT. that he owns from Celebrity Code, right? This is interesting. Like Gary Vee's buying this, so maybe I should buy it. That's what you think. But turns out you have to go all the way down here to realize this was gifted from Valet Bro 19 days ago. And it was also given to Logan Paul and another big project. And so what this person is doing is marketing. These people are sending free stuff to people and it automatically populates inside of their OpenC. And so it makes it look like, and then they'll send a screenshot of this. They'll send a screenshot. Oh my gosh, look what Gary Vee just bought. When in fact, he did not buy it at all. It was just gifted. It wasn't even, gift is a poor word. It was just thrown inside of his wallet.
You don't have to accept the gift, Avery?
No.
And you can't make your wallet.
Nope.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But what OpenC needs to do, it's the difference between a buy and a transfer. Those are two different words. But OpenC doesn't let you filter by bought versus transferred. It just shows you everything. So this is an OpenC problem, really, at the end of the day. And so what Ken and I created was a way that basically we just downloaded all their data and we basically made it so you could see what was gifted and what was purchased. So for instance, we can go to here. We'll actually do an individual. So let's click on individual. This is main Streamlit, Gary Vee, and the gifted versus percent, gifted versus purchase percent. So for instance, if it's red, it means it purchased it. If it's gray, it means it was gifted to him. So for instance, he owns 233 secret frogs. They were all gifted to him. He did not buy one of them. VeeFriends, this is where it goes back to the data integrity issue that we have. Yeah. Is VeeFriends is his. And he had basically, he saved 1,000 for himself. And so he transferred those from himself to himself. And that's where it gets difficult because it does look like VeeFriends is a big, basically, the higher you up are on this list and the more gray you are, the bigger scammer you are. But this would make it look like VeeFriends is the biggest scam versus it actually is one of the best projects and it's his. So the data fidelity is really hard.
Okay, interesting. And yeah, Dolly's point that this is open to a lot of spam, especially if you're someone like Gary Vee, who everyone's trying to get on his list and show that they're related somehow. Chances are he's getting these things all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big issue for sure. And that really, there's no one really doing this type of analysis. This was fun to do. The issue with this though, was it's really hard to get good, clean data. And even when you have good, clean data, there's actually there's no default way for me to know all of the wallets that Gary Vee can own. So for instance, he could have multiple wallets. In fact, he does. So he has this Gary Vee wallet right here, but then his real name is actually Gennady, I think. Yep. And so this is the second wallet he owns. And for different reasons, I don't really know all of them. I only have one wallet, but he can send stuff from one wallet to another, but it's how many of those could he have? So it's really hard to tell the difference. And it would take a lot of effort to go and actually make sure what's a fraud and what's not a fraud. But that's a big problem to solve.
Does it cost money to gift someone something?
Yeah, it depends. So for instance, I just as a fun experiment for the YouTube video that Kenji and I made. I actually gifted Gary. Yeah, I did, but it was on level 2. I don't know how to find it though, but it was on level 2, so it didn't cost me anything. But if it's on level 1, it would. You'd have to pay a gas fee. That's basically what makes a transaction go through in Ethereum, and they're expensive. It's probably $50 a transaction.
Does the one you gifted to Gary, does it show up in his wallet or?
It did, yeah. When I sent it to him, I don't know how to re-find it though because the search doesn't work very well. But I have a screenshot. I screenshotted it with it at the front and Gary's face and everything.
That's so cool. You're giving me ideas here, but it's the equivalent of knowing where somebody you look up to lives and sending them gift baskets full of the stuff you sell and then standing by the door hoping they'll open it and you'd snap a picture of them holding your
yeah. There's 100 people or 1,000 people doing it and he's really tired of it, and so he'll basically, if you do that, he'll just ignore you. But yeah, it's basically the equivalent.
Wow, interesting. Well, Christine has a question there. Can you lose a crypto wallet?
Yes, very easily. There's each crypto wallet, basically the way you lose it is there. When you get a wallet, you get a phrase. It's called a secret seed phrase. And you can never share that with anyone else because that is your password to your crypto wallet. And if you lose that, there's no way to get your money back. All your money is gone. So there's people who have lost thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars by either losing that or just forgetting it. And so it'll be like a 12-word phrase like blue dog, sky, headphone, money, tree. And you just have to store that somewhere.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever heard of like cryptocurrency. My husband's like, you have to remember these like 12 words. And I'm like, this sounds like BS, like my BS radar. I'm like words like, yeah, gorilla, green. And I'm like, this doesn't sound legit, yet it's still the way we verify. I'm pretty sure soon it'll be like biometrics verification or something where you don't have to remember 12 completely random words or write them down and stick them under your pillow, or I don't know what people are doing with them, honestly, like how you can't store them on your phone because I guess people can break into that and get it. So
yeah, I'm lazy. I don't have a whole lot of money in my wallet. So I have a password keeper and mine's just on my password keeper.
Good to know. Anyone listening?
No. Yeah, I just kidding. It's only, I tattooed it in a secret place on my body and you guys will never be able to access it. That's the only place.
That's even worse, Avery. So I'm gonna stop talking. All right, well, Avery, thank you. I know we're getting close to time. Anything else you wanted to cover before we get into our networking section?
No, I think I'm good. I guess I'll just say my advice to anyone who wants to get started with NFT analytics would probably be Dune. I think that's the #1 easiest place to go. And my advice to anyone who wants to start NFT collecting is I would say, don't buy something very expensive at the beginning. Because you need to like just go through a couple reps before you're at a good place, and just play with money that you can lose. That's the other thing is do not use your, basically it's a gamble and you're planning on losing it.